First of all, I'd like to thank everyone in attendance for being part of this great event. And I'd also like to give a special thanks for everyone that was part of this event, and also not just that, but making this event successful. Making it so that community colleges demonstrated to people like us that we are a part of the academic community, that we have a voice, and we thank you for allowing us to present that voice. And today, I, Oscar del Toro, and my partner, Angel Bribiesca, mentored by the one and only Dr. Leticia Lopez, representing San Diego Mesa College, will provide insight on one of the most interesting experiences that my partner and I had the privilege of partaking. We ended up accomplishing and partaking the task of going into the service learning world and completing a service learning project, which I like to call more of a service learning opportunity. Now, I keep bringing up that word, service learning. And it's a word that is all too common in community colleges, but how does that word stack up in society? How does it stack up? Well, according to a government-funded organization, AmeriCorps, the National Organization for Community Service, they have the 25-35-50 ratio laid out, in which 25% of elementary and secondary schools promote service learning programs. 35 states nationwide, obviously, have actually made it a mandatory service to provide service learning programs, and over 50% of community colleges have also wanted to promote that service learning factor. And you're probably asking yourselves, well, what did we do? What service learning project did we take? We were actually a part of. We decided to have as one of our core mottos before entailing and taking part of the service learning project as having and combating illiteracy. And with that, we focused and took that mindset with our mentor, Dr. Leticia Lopez, and we ended up arriving in a community center named Bayside. And we ended up researching a group of individuals who call themselves the Mixteco. Now, these Mixteco, a wonderful group of people from the quasi-forgotten regions of central Mexico and Oaxaca, who came to this land in seek and in search of that American dream. Ooh, the American dream. A word that's used so nonchalant nowadays that it's almost lost its meaning. And as our generation so eloquently expresses, it's an idea that's just old school. But we're here to explain and express that it's not that way. The American dream is very much still alive in those in the pursuit and seek of its accolades. And after all, it is the American dream. And as Ralph Waldo Emerson once stated, America means opportunity, freedom, and power. And we witness such plaudits from these Mixteco people. And we researched these people by providing a total of 40+ hours of instruction of Spanish level classes. I say 40+ because that was our goal. 40, but we greatly exceeded that goal. And Angel here, he taught beginning level Spanish classes and I taught advanced. But we ended up hitting a snag because, as many things in this world, things at times don't go according to plan. And what ended up happening was that we realized that many of these people, such as the Mixteco, these underprivileged communities, lack a basic education. And it was so bad for my group that, unfortunately, some of them failed to write their name on a piece of paper. Their name. They couldn't write their name. You might ask yourself, but Oscar, what does it matter if they can't write their name down? Well, your name represents who you are, your morals, your values, your upbringing. It is the first gift that is given to us as we enter this world. And it is a gift that no one should have its meaning deprived. Which is why, as one of our first lesson plans, we decided to teach the Mixteco how to draft it on a piece of paper. And we witnessed something amazing. We witnessed that these Mixteco began to obtain a sort of self-value from writing their name down. It was interesting because when I write my name down, I really don't put much thought into it. I mean, I do it so much that I do it without thinking. But to them, it was promise, it was hope, it was the silver lining for a better future. Service learning is a two-way street, because we reached an unspoken mutual bond with these Mixteco, in which it was known that we weren't just there to teach them, but they were also there to teach us. And in order to speak more on his experience, I present without further ado my colleague, Angel Bribiesca.
Good morning, my name is Angel Bribiesca, and I'm really excited to be here. And I'm going to be talking about my experiences and what I learned dealing with the Mixteco people. I remember my first day walking into Bayside Community Community Center. And I was early, so I sat down and I saw a book. And it was a picture book done by the little kids of the center. And I picked it up and I started flipping through it. And the pictures were so full of color, so full of hope, so full of cheer that it made me think that Bayside is a positive center for these kids because they have, I wouldn't say nothing else, but that was a positive thing for themselves and for their family. We had an orientation. It lasted an hour. I thought we were done for the day, but to my surprise, we walked into the classroom and they're like, "Here's your class. Good luck." They have dry erase boards in the back, and you guys are done at 8 o'clock. And I was standing there for about 10 minutes. My students were looking at me. I was looking at them. I didn't know what to do. I didn't have anything planned. So I just winged it, and I lasted till 8 o'clock. I taught basic Spanish, went through the alphabet, went through the numbers. And towards the end of the night, I started talking with my students, started getting to know them. They got to know me, and one of the ladies started talking to me, and she said, "You know, I'm really grateful for you guys that come down and take time off from work and from school, from studying, to teach us to better ourselves." And at that moment, I felt such pride within myself. And dude, I drove home, and I was like amazed. I was like, wow, I'm actually making a difference in these people's lives. And I made it my goal to spark something in them during my time there. And throughout the weeks, I spent time teaching the adults English, sometimes Spanish. And then I was put in charge of watching the 3 youngest kids at the community center. They were like Dennis the Menace times 3. I kid you not. They were running down the halls, up the stairs, down the stairs, outside through the parking lots, and I was just there chasing right after them. One of them stood out. He was about 4 years old, and his name is Emiliano. The most awesome kid I've met yet. He was so willing to help. He would help me out, regulate the other little kids who got out of line, and like, Emiliano would help me out with them. And they were just so much fun. We would play soccer out in the little field that they had. But one of the things that I noticed, one of the downsides, is that their sports equipment either disappeared or was damaged throughout the years. And sports, to me, shaped me as a person because it showed me, taught me motivation, teamwork, leadership, and without key equipment, they can't learn that. So I did whatever I could, and I went home and got, my soccer ball, my baseball, whatever I could, and brought it to the center. And as soon as the first day I did that, I noticed that they would get their homework done real fast to go outside and play. I did some research, and I went to sportsgift.org, which is an organization which donates equipment to needy communities in needy countries. So I put the center in touch with them, so hopefully they can help. That's how I heard they were in the process. Throughout the months, I learned so much about the culture, the people, and how they live and how they treat people. It just made me so humble. You can walk right off the streets and they would take you in. As long as you treat them with respect, you're honest with them, and you don't intend to hurt them. They'll treat you as family. And that's what I saw. They don't treat anybody like outsiders. They're super friendly, timid at times until you get to know them. And just a solid group. I was invited to some events, like some of you see here. This was the annual fundraiser for one of the cities in Oaxaca, Santa Maria Natividad. And the funding was to fix their sewer system. And throughout the event, they had their authentic food, their authentic drinks, and it was awesome. They had mole, they had tamales. You guys should try some if you guys haven't had it, by the way. They also had mezcal, which is an alcoholic drink, and other great stuff. Anyway, I had so much fun just interacting more with my students and with their families, and just getting to know everybody and how, they mingle within themselves and talk and share thoughts. My family started up in Northern California in the fields of Bakersfield, picking fruits and vegetables. And now they're business owners and investors, and through the sacrifices that my grandparents made and my parents made, our life is just gonna be so much better just because of that little spark within them and that motivation. So I hope that we were able to instill something like that in our students. And with that, passing it back to Oscar.
Thank you for that story, Angel. I know that this experience changed you, but it changed you in a good way. And that's why we're here. We're here to motivate you to get and jump onto that service learning bandwagon. This is where you can be a part of something great, because when it comes to community service and service learning, they pretty much go hand in hand. And the problem is that when students or people see community service, they think of that word and they just see it as another notch on their belt. It's something else to write down on an application, on a resume, on that box of accomplishments on a college application. And that's it. They don't find more importance in it. And it's sad, really, because it's that lack of motivation, that lack of enthusiasm, and that misguided being driven by ideals, they're misguided, as I said, that deprives students from these experiences that can only be gained through personal momentum. And we're here to say that if you want to go into the service learning world, it's not that hard, really. You just got to take that first step. That's the hardest thing. The hardest thing in the service learning world is taking that first step. And it can be as easy as a simple handshake, a simple but effective handshake, because that's how we greeted our Mixteco friends. Because when we saw them, we didn't know, how are we going to meet these people with an effective handshake? Let me explain the difference between an effective and an ineffective handshake. If I were to approach this young lady and I were to merely just extend my hand and do this, well, nothing happens. Now let's backtrack. That's not a handshake. Now I approach this young lady, and if I were to focus my peripheral vision into her eyes, it would be like staring into her soul. And by doing that, if I extend my hand, we establish first contact. Thank you for being this for. And that's what happens. That's exactly how we greeted our Mixteco friend, with that first handshake. And by doing so, we gained their trust. And we gained insight on how much these people, as my partner, Angel Bribiesca, stated, bring into this world. Labor, knowledge, my personal favorite as well, food, and goods and services. Yet, in spite of the distinctive accomplishments that pretty much get these people going, these people, such as the Mixteco, and also underprivileged communities, are seen much as an annoyance. These underprivileged communities are seen as and treated as a piece of chewed bubble gum that is stepped on and just refuses to let go. And instead of placing these communities as sacrificial lambs for our quandaries, we should be welcoming them with open arms. We are losing one of the most valuable assets that this country has reaped from: the actual acknowledgement from the rich diversity of the struggling community. And unless the much preached change by our current president's administration is employed, the dreams that we advocate will be just that, dreams. So if there's one thing that I would like to leave the audience with today, it's that if you have the power to change someone's life in a positive manner, just think of the Nike slogan, just do it. Don't focus on what you'll take from that experience, but what you'll leave behind. And I promise that by doing so, you won't have any regrets. And that concludes our presentation. Now we leave the floor open to questions or concerns and comments.